All right, let's go ahead and bring in Lei Mei. He's an attorney and managing partner at Mei Mark LLP here in Washington, D.C. Lei, thank you for joining us. There's been a lot of social outrage, in social media outrage in China over this detention, and some of it centered around this accusation that the U.S. is manipulating American law or manipulated law to get Meng Wanzhou. What's your reaction to that?
I think U.S. law is fine, but enforcement of U.S. law in this situation is highly unusual.
Meaning the structure, the legal structure is there, but the enforcement is a rare instance?
Correct.
Okay, so I want to talk about the enforcement because we saw with ZTE, another Chinese tech giant, that it was a bit different. The Department of Justice was involved, but we didn't see this sort of outcome as we've seen with Huawei. What's the difference there? Correct.
I think everyone knows that Department of Commerce issued a very large sanction, right, in terms of fines against ZTE. But there was a DOJ investigation against ZTE as a company, but never arrest of any ZTE executives, even though there was proof and admitted fact that ZTE executives violated U.S. law on sanctions on Iran. In this situation, Huawei CFO was just alleged of potentially violating U.S. sanctions on Iran, and there was already arrest. So this is highly unusual and typically did not happen in the history of U.S. enforcement of U.S. sanctions on Iran.
And again, for our viewers to be clear, this is a Chinese national transiting in Vancouver, arrested on a U.S. warrant. So the U.S. prosecutors had to give material to the Canadians, and they must have been working on this for quite some time. How is it, or why do you think they went after Meng Wanzhou and did not go after ZTE executives?
So I believe that Huawei has been under investigation for many, many years by the U.S. government, but there was no allegation of any violation previously. And this particular moment, when there was allegation of violation, U.S. went forward with arrest in Canada, and the timing is very unusual. I think it does lend support to criticism that this arrest may be in part politically motivated.
What are your expectations for the hearing? It's going to continue on Monday. What do you expect, and how long might this go on, and in what form?
I believe this can go on for many, many days, and U.S. prosecutor will continue to present evidence to Canadian government, Canadian court, and I believe there is a chance that Ms. Meng may be granted bail while the presentation of evidence is continuing. U.S. does have 60 days to present all the evidence in order to for extradition to work.
So there's 60 days for the U.S. to present its evidence. We've got this 90-day truce in the trade war, if you will, but we're already seeing political fallback from some of these tensions, and China sort of, as we mentioned, raising the stakes in all this. You're an IP lawyer, and the U.S. and China have tensions over things like IP. Could tensions between the two countries actually come down and affect industry like yours, or cooperation over things like IP?
Right. I think, if we recall, the whole U.S.-China trade war started based on Section 301 report based on IP theft. So even with Huawei situation, in large extent, I think it has connection with the continued fear in the U.S. that Huawei poses a security risk and might have involved in potential IP misappropriation. So I think in order for the trade war to scale down, I think parties really need to go back to the essence. Was there IP violation? Was there just allegation? Is that fear justified? Right? In my industry, I believe, we represent a lot of U.S. companies as well. When companies continue to do business in China, which means at company level, the businesses do not believe there was a huge risk of IP theft. But the U.S. government has a different approach. I think government needs to listen to everyday people and business people doing business between China and the U.S.
All right, Lei Mei, the managing partner at Mei Mark here in Washington, D.C. Thank you for joining us.